You want your photos to have those golden, warm cinematic tones? This is the Lightroom preset pack for you. Hey, I'm Joel from Night Owl Stories, and today I'll be showing you how simple and easy it is to get those golden summer tones for the photos you took in that trip with your family or friends, and just create a cohesive, beautiful looking album so you can take a look at those photos and remember those beautiful memories you shared together. Now, a bit of story behind this preset pack. We always like to go on a trip together with our friends at least once a year. It was the summer of 2022 when we went to Italy for a week to explore the Mediterranean, and we captured the beauty of Venice, Padova and Vicenza. When we came home, we wanted to recreate that warmth and magic of those moments in our edits. And that's exactly how the Venice pack came to life. A preset pack that enhances those golden tones, amplifies those rich yellows and oranges, and adds just the right amount of grain that reminds us of those old film photos. Now you'll see the pack includes 4 variations of the Venice preset. They're tailored for different white balances to make editing easier for you. They're named 32, 55, 65, and 75, each based on their Kelvin temperature settings. To download it, simply click on the Gumroad link in the description. Once you're there, you just need to log in with your account and buy the preset. Then you just have to click on the download button and save it anywhere you want. You'll get this zip file so you can right-click it and unzip it here as well. Now open up Lightroom Classic, go to the Develop page, and here on the left side, you'll find the Preset section. Click on the plus icon, then Import Presets. Find the folder you just unzipped, select it, and click on Import. That's literally it. Now you'll have the presets ready to use. Now, using these presets is very easy. So here's just a quick demonstration on how I personally use them, and also a couple of more tricky examples and scenarios that you could find, and how I would go about them and swap a couple things. So here's just my Lightroom catalog. Again, these are all raw photos, raw files. I have a couple of them that are already edited, but I'll keep it from the beginning. So the way I would go is just I would select the photos, for example this one, and here again you have the user presets, and of course you have the 4 versions as I told you, the 3200 Kelvin, the 5500 Kelvin, 6500 and 7500 Kelvin. And if I quickly go over them, you can see how the different temperatures affect. None other details in terms of the preset and adjustments have been edited. It's just a very quick way for you to visualize and just get that color right away. Okay, so for example, of course this is pretty much daylight. There's some shade here and there's some sunlight there. So of course I'm not going to be using 3200 Kelvin, but I can take a look and it's going to be something in between 5500 and 6500. So I would just pick one of the two. For this time, I think I'm gonna go with this one. And if there's any other adjustment that I need to make, I would just bring the exposure up, for instance, and for me, I'd call it a day probably. Then I can take a look at another picture. This, you can see, is a bit more shady. So probably if I go with 5500 Kelvin, this is gonna be very bluish. It's a little bit green here, so I must go, I think, a bit higher. So this would be cloudy and this would be shade, so even 7500 Kelvin would be pretty good here. Also, of course, I would bring out the exposure just a bit, but this is just personal taste. Again, here's another really good example. Okay, so as you can see, I overexposed this image a little bit. This is actually burnt, so here's a quick way for you to see how it actually treats those very blown highlights. So if I quickly, for example, use this 55 Venice preset, here's already what it does. Again, if I reset this and I go here again, you can see how it actually treats those highlights. I can even adjust this if you need. Okay, so you can go down the highlights, or you can just bring down the exposure. Of course, you can do anything here, but here's the color right away. It looks very cinematic. Of course, interiors, they work as well. This was a very nice church. There were very nice colors that you cannot really see in this in this raw file here. But when you use the preset, you can actually see how those golden tones are coming out. So this is really good. Of course, I would have to clean up those banners and stuff here, but overall, really nice colors coming from the picture. Here's another quick example I wanted to show you. Usually the blues are very muted in this preset pack, okay? So of course, if you are someone who really likes to bring out those blues, you can of course totally do it. You're just gonna have to swap a little thing. So for example, you'd go use one of those preset packs. For instance, I think I'm gonna be using the 55 this time. I think it's a good spot. Then probably I'll bring up the exposure a bit here, just this, and then I would just go down here to the color mixer, and I'm gonna be clicking on this blue color, and then of course you can see the saturation has been brought down by quite a lot. This is why the blue sky is it's like gray, right? So you can just bring it up if you want, okay? And that's a pretty good spot. I would keep it here, and that's pretty much it. Some more examples. I wanted to show you this backlit photo where there's light rays coming in from the sun, so you can see how it treats the image. So this is a bit shady, so I'd go in between these two, like the 65-75. I really like warm tones, so I'll go with this one, and I'll just have to bring up the exposure. But again, you can see how it treats the image. Again, really beautiful colors coming from it. And then of course, because I adjusted the exposure and this doesn't affect it, the presets, here's what you can do with it. Let me show you some more examples. This is another photo that is quite good. There's a lot of contrast in this photo. So one thing that is really good with this preset pack is that it evens things out a bit, right? So for instance, I think I'd be using this 5500 Kelvin also, and I just have to bring up the exposure until a point that I'm happy with, not blowing too much of the highlights, but not being too dark in this area. So again, you can see the before and after here. It looks pretty good, and it's just one click and just adjusting the exposure. So you can see how fast I'm going through all of this. And yeah, you can also find this photo that Aran took of me. This is a bit more shady. This one is a very tricky spot because you can see it's very warm where the sun is hitting, but it's very, very bluish and not very natural looking on my skin and t-shirt. This is actually a gray t-shirt, but it looks quite blue. So I think I would go somewhere in between 65 and 75. Something like this looks great. I would adjust the exposure maybe. If I need to, in this case, I could just adjust the shadows a bit more up, and then I just play with maybe lowering the blues a little bit more. And if that's too much orange, I can also lower the oranges. Or I can just swap again to the 6500 Kelvin, because I'm thinking maybe it was too much on the 75, right? And find a spot that looks all right to me. Again, I have to bring the shadows up a bit, but this again would look pretty natural to me. And look at the difference in the raw file. You can also do it with plants. Greens also look very good, very warm here. You can see I can just use this one of the two. I think you could go like more natural with the 55. That would look very good. You could go high exposure or lower key, which looks very moody as well. And then you can always adjust the color, but 55 looks amazing there. Also, another quick tip. Here are some more indoor shots. Here I could be using any of these, but you'll see that none of them really actually fit, because this is just a really weird mix of different light colors and everything. So how I would go about it is I would pick the one that suits the best. So probably it won't be 75, it won't be 65. It would have to be 55 or 32. But 32 looks very, very green to me. So I think this looks more natural and more towards what I would like it to look like. So I would click on this, and then I could always adjust it manually. So maybe it needs a little bit more blue because the napkin should be white and it's not white. Or I could Control Z, I could get the white balance selector and then click on a white part on the image, and that just brings it there. So you can see if I hop on the 32, that would make it very more bluish and greener, but this is something that looks very natural. Also not the 55, so you can take a look at this. Same goes here. 32 is a bit blue and 55 is too orange, so I pick one of the two that looks good and adjust from there until a point where I think it looks natural. So this would be the before, this the after. And that is all about our Venice Preset Pack that we created to bring out those golden, warm summer tones for any photo really, but it just works really well for us, for those, you know, summer trips you took with your friends or family, and it just really brings out those nostalgic feelings taking a look back at those photos. So for those who are trying that preset, please let us know what you think about it in the comments. For those who are thinking about trying, feel free to click the link in the description and get your preset pack now. And yeah, if you do try it and you do use it to edit your photos, please tag us on Instagram at Night Owl Stories, and we'll be really happy to share them, to take a look at what you did with it and the results you got. So that's it from us, guys. Hope it helped, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.